Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuce, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And well, today is Hump Day.
Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day!
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as I always like to say, the fun is all in the trying. We are having a good old time here today. Mike is working to try and get here. He says he's about 10 out, so we shall see. I've left the line open so that if he can reach in and if he can come and be on the program, it will be here for him. I'll just got to keep an eye out for him and get him plugged in. But otherwise, it's going to be me. It's going to be you. We're going to have a good old time talking about the news of the day. So let's kick it off the way that we usually do, and that's usually with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. That's right, Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels. They are available for you to purchase at any length. All you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net. If you've purchased an AR recently, chances are you already have one of their barrels. Why not get another one? Whether you're starting a brand new build or you're looking to redo your old rifle, look, start your experience with Hitman Industries. And then we've got the California Republican Assembly working behind enemy lines to help elect conservatives to all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to find out why. Just go to cragop.org. That is cragop.org and find out why. Because if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters on the market at hogholsters.com. That's right, hogholsters.com. Just go there. By the way, it's HAWG holsters. That's how they spell it. Just go to hogholsters.com. Check them out today. You will enjoy it. Trust me. Make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your hog holster once again today. Oh, on discount, by the way. And then we've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. They have a huge selection. Oh, by the way, that would be uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection. They have competitive pricing, and they specialize in group sales. So you need to go there today. You need to go check them out. Once again, uscombatgear.com. Also want to tell you, we are literally days away from the final launch of the 2A newsletter. This is being sponsored by 2A News. 2A News brings to you all of the Second Amendment news. Now, here's the cool thing about this newsletter. It's going to come to you in your email box. It is going to contain all of the 2A news from all of the 2A news sources from across the country, from around the world. It's going to come to you daily. And here's the best part about it, folks. It is free. That's right. It's going to come to you free of charge. All you got to do is sign up. We don't have the sign up yet, but if this is something you guys would like, if you guys want me to make sure to announce this and make sure I keep pushing this on here, if you guys are going to subscribe, do me a favor and let me know in the comments. Look there, they got the Rundown as one of the video blogs that they've gone. They've got deals, they've got product reviews. I mean, once again, pulling stuff from all over the internet in order to make this 2A newsletter work. But would love to have you. Once again, this is something that is free that 2A News is providing, making available to you. And in case you're wondering, the whole idea is for it to be paid for by sponsors. So as you sign up, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Visit the sponsors. Just like I asked you to do here on the Rundown. Visit the sponsors. You go there. People know you go there. They know you come there from the 2A newsletter. They know you go there from the Rundown. Then all of a sudden, they are much, much more likely to continue to sponsor. So, and if they continue to sponsor, you continue to get it for free. And free is a good thing, right? Right. We want to get stuff for free, right? I don't mind getting stuff for free, but one of the challenges is some people think that, journalism, they think all this stuff that we do, they think all this stuff is free. It takes time. It takes technology. It takes services that you have to do. And sometimes it takes some technical expertise of folks that you got to pay. All of it costs money. So for you to support our sponsors and they support us, anyway, It's how it all works out. So you support the sponsors, they support us, and you get the show for free. You get the newsletter for free. Just gotta check it out. Just gotta be out there, be active, be engaged, and be involved. And also, by the way, I want to remind you, if you are watching this program 3 p.m. during the 3 p.m. hour in California, or on the West Coast, or at 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, you are watching us live. And so we would love to get your comments. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the program. In fact, whether you agree with us or disagree with us, we want to hear from you. In fact, it's actually better if you disagree with us, because then that gives us the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
Yeah, that's right. We relish the opportunity to mock you because, well, it's fun. As I was saying yesterday, I have some friends from high school that have decided that they want to challenge me on some of my political views. Now, as I said yesterday, these are folks who were, let's just say, they were no scholars back in the day, and they have demonstrated that they are no scholars today. Not saying, just saying. Yeah, they ain't no scholars today. They have not improved their studying powers. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get into today's news topics. I realized I need to do the reset here. Here we go. So, the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, is very, very upset about the redistricting that has taken place. In particular, about the court ruling that the Supreme Court came down and said, yeah, you're not allowed to discriminate when drawing political lines. In other words, when you're drawing political districts, you cannot use race as the factor. Well, with very few exceptions. In other words, you have to prove that there has been a recent history of discrimination. Well, they're not too happy about the NAACP is not too happy about that. So they are organizing a boycott because, that's what they do. And in this boycott, the NAACP is calling for black student athletes to boycott Southern schools amid redistricting backlash. This is being reported by NBC News. It says the NAACP launched a campaign Tuesday calling on black student athletes to boycott Southern colleges in the wake of a Supreme Court decision last month that weakened the Voting Rights Act, leading to the dismantling of one majority black congressional district and a push to scrap others. Quote, the NAACP will not watch the same institutions that depend on black athletic prowess to fill their stadiums and their bank accounts remain silent while their states strip black communities of their voice. NAACP National President and CEO Derek Johnson said in a statement. The group is urging black recruits to withhold their commitments from a list of universities, primarily in the NCAA's Southeastern Conference. The schools are in the following states: Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, South Carolina, Texas, and Georgia. Several of the schools have nationally ranked football programs, including the University of Alabama, the University of Texas at Austin, the University of Georgia, and the University of Mississippi. The Out of Bounds campaign comes as voting rights advocates across generations are grappling with what they see as the latest blow to one of the most seminal victories in the nation's civil rights movement. Now, what's interesting about this, folks, is not everybody's down with this. Not everybody in the black community is supportive of this. And here's one gentleman who makes his opinion quite clear.
They're calling on states like Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, and South Carolina as the potential states for the boycott to happen. They want black athletic talent to not show up to the schools because they think this is going to protect political interests. In fact, it's going to backfire, as I just went over. Now, I want to read some of these comments. For example, Malik nails it. Black men ? Quote, they aren't demanding students without athletic scholarships leave those same campuses. Professors aren't being told to resign. Only black male athletes are expected to forfeit their education, NIL earnings, and a shot at a professional career.
NAACP this morning, in solidarity with the CBC, we are calling on athletes who are coming out of high school not to attend any state-funded schools of states that have moved to minimize our right to vote, to minimize our ability to elect candidates of our choice, and states that are seeking to create a sharecropping reality. Whether that state be Missouri or Mississippi, whether that state is South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, or Florida.
There are so many issues here, but I think the bottom line is this. They're using young black men as chess pieces. So what's really happening here? Well, I think it's safe to say that the NAACP president doesn't really care about black lives in the way that you are led to believe. They're treating young black men who are athletes coming out of high school as chess pieces. Instead of saying, focus on your future, focus on your education, focus on your career. No, focus on politics.
And welcome to the program, Mr. Mike Piworski. Mikey P. How are we doing today, Mike?
Fuck them kids.
So, I mean, but Mike, how stupid is this? Now, one of the things that they're looking here is these are kids that oftentimes, I mean, this is their future, right? This is the opportunity they have to make a difference and perhaps go from not getting a college education, not being in a position to be able to be successful, to now tell them, yeah, no, don't go to school. Don't go to that school. Also, here's the funny part. Also, the Democratic Party can maintain power.
Does this gentleman really believe this, Craig, or is this just his last chance to make the NAACP relevant in his term? While he's the head of the organization. Clearly, listen, we don't have to go into how this is horrible for young black youth trying to get to these colleges, right? This is a horrible idea for them to turn away their future because of what some old guy who still wants to be relevant and what his stance is. It's just, how do you say it right? Again, he wants to maintain his relevance, so let's come up with the dumbest idea possible and maintain. Let's bring back and make this a racial issue where it's not a racial issue. Instead of looking at this and going, "Wow, for everyone, fair for the population, fair for everybody out here." It just makes him more of a racist, right, Craig? It goes back to everything like, oh, black people only elect black people. That's the only way it works. We're not smart enough to do anything besides that. It's just a horrible look for the NAACP.
Yeah, you notice he's not telling any black doctors who work at hospitals there in the South. He's not telling them to not go. He's not telling black lawyers stop working for your law firms. He's not telling any black politicians don't show up to vote. All he's saying is that students who don't really have anything except potential, he wants them to sacrifice. And once again, they're not sacrificing for black folks. They're sacrificing for Democrat politicians, basically for white liberals. And by the way, I agree with this guy. These guys, they see them as chess pieces. They see them as pawns. And evidently they're playing with the white pieces.
Oh yeah. You pointed out right. He kept saying chess pieces. I know what he meant. Pawns. That's what this are. That's what these are pawns to him.
Right. And for those of you who do not play chess, pawns are the most easily sacrificed. They really don't mean a whole lot, right? And in this case, it's easy for him to stand up and sacrifice these kids' future so that he can maintain his political power.
That's it.
No. And once again, and Mike made the point here, also that all because a ruling said, yeah, you're not allowed to discriminate in drawing electoral lines. I don't even know what to say with that.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, and there is a place for the organization. There always has been. I mean, this is a bad move on behalf of the NAACP. I mean, anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows that this does not look good for this organization, and they're going to stop getting checks in the mail.
Well, terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah, they have no problem hiding behind their youth, hiding behind innocent victims, and utilizing them as cannon fodder.
Well, sure. Listen, that's why you go after the colleges and not the other organizations like you mentioned, because we can get the ignorant liberal kids stand out there with flags and protest now without knowing why they're doing it.
Mike, interesting thing here. You notice he didn't say anything about any of the pro athletes, right? We are in the midst of baseball season. We're in the midst of basketball season, basketball playoffs, right? We are the NFL is starting to spin up their spring practices. I didn't hear him call on any of them to not participate.
Yeah, that's strange, right? Right. I bet you he's like a Pac-10 fan. That's probably what it is. This is probably just he hates the SEC. That's probably all.
I don't think there. Well, there isn't a Pac-10. Well, it's a Pac-10, then there's a Pac-12. Now it's
Pac-12 now. Sorry, yeah.
It's garbage now.
Well, I mean, listen, if nobody shows up to play in the SEC, Pac-12 might go up a little bit. You
never know. You never know. Although I
give Oregon a chance.
Give Oregon a chance. All right, this next one is one that I'm glad to see that is happening as an example of what you can do without necessarily having to pass legislation. Brendan Carr, who is the head of the FCC, has basically said, you know what? Maybe it's time that we started putting parental warnings for transgender comment in children's shows. This being reported by the folks over at Breitbart. It says here the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, Chairman Brendan Carr told Breitbart News at a press conference on Wednesday that parents are increasingly concerned about transgender content in children's television as the agency considers updating television ratings. Breitbart News reported how the FCC Media Bureau is seeking comment on and if the agency should update television ratings to warn parents about children's programs that discuss gender identity and other controversial topics. This seems to me like it would be just a normal thing. And I don't know why even folks on the left would have a problem with this, because if they're talking about gender identity issues and you want your kids to hear about gender identity issues, then those programs will be identified for you. And if you don't want your children to hear about transgenderism or gender identities, those programs will be labeled for you.
Yeah, why not? Right? I mean, this is what they want, right? They want their DEI. They want all these gender issues, right? So why not we just label them for them? So it's clear that they don't have to waste their time watching some patriotic TV show. They could just go, straight to trans DEI issues and watch what they want to watch there.
There you go. They can do their drag queen story hour on television per day if they want. They can do a marathon of it if they want.
There you go. There you go.
I just think that the biggest part about all of this, and this is the most frustrating thing when I get into arguments with people about this, is they're like, well, they just want to live their lives and, they just don't want to be gotten rid of. And I'm like, no, here's the problem is the policymakers, they don't want us to just let them live their lives. They want us to celebrate it. They want us to buy into and be a part of their decision. And you just can't mandate that people do that. And in particular, you can't mandate that their kids do it. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's laughable to try and turn the TV on today. We do make it a drinking game, basically. Turn the TV on, watch a program you never watched before, and see how long it takes until a main character is an LGBTQ that they put into the story. And by the way, it's not 1 out of 10% like it would be throughout the United States. It's like 80%. They might as well call it the LBGQ2 hour, or something like that. It just. I will never forget, you had seen it before, and it had happened before. It wasn't, but I still remember the one time I was watching. Watching Law and Order. This was back when Fred Thompson was the DA, right? Or was the DA, and I remember that. I only remember the character's name. She was a blonde sitting there. And she was about to get fired because she had done something really, really unethical or something really, really stupid. And out of the blue, she says, is it because I'm gay? Scene. And I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a writer that didn't have an ending. That's what that was.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not saying it can't be, but when you shove it down people's throats, right? When it's got to be a plot in every single show.
Yeah.
When social justice has to be a part of every single show. I like watching the show FBI, and I get frustrated because I'm like, you'll see the male agents will be chasing a guy down or will get in a fight with somebody. And it's not until the female agent shows up and helps get in the final blow or tackles the guy that they're able to finally subdue him. And I'm like, okay, what world is this in?
It's a fantasy land with unicorns and fairy dust, and where everybody's a victim and somebody else is always to blame.
Yeah, I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't see many worlds where if I'm running away from somebody, a 120-pound woman is going to do a flying tackle and take me down. I'm not saying it could never happen.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if I'm going to the cow sheep markets, I'm betting on me.
You know, I taught a lot of combatives, defensive tactics, that kind of stuff throughout my career. And one of the things we'd always teach people, it didn't matter if they were male or female, is listen, if you're a 100-pound dude and it's time for you to take down a 200-pound dude, don't forget the laws of physics. No matter how good you are, the laws of physics are always going to be the laws of physics.
Right.
I'm not going to say, listen, Ronda Rousey's not going to armbar you in 16 seconds or something like that. I'm saying the laws of physics are the laws of physics, and you need to understand reality.
Right. Yeah. Laws of physics say things that weigh more are people that weigh more. Well, let's just say they bring in a little something with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen, again, nothing against the women. They could, put on a good move, get a good strike in, block a knee, do something like that, and, delay or put down. But, just run a car against the truck and see what happens.
There you go. Once again, the law of physics. And maybe if we did that a little bit more, we wouldn't put people in such danger. But anyway, that's Hollywood. I ain't gonna mess with Hollywood, but yeah. Anyway, prominent rifle manufacturer deplatformed from YouTube. Now we know, Mike and I know what that's like. Now we got deplatformed for a completely and utterly crazy reason. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this. Story. So, this story coming from our friends over at Bearing Arms, Mr. John Petrolino says here, prominent rifle manufacturer deplatformed from YouTube. Bearing Arms has been tracking for years the digital warfare waged against firearms industry. We have a new casualty to report, and this time it's manufacturer Bighorn Armory. YouTube has notoriously been bad at giving out strikes and deplatforming creators. While the company had a very strict set of rules and standards, many creators have reported that they follow the rules to the T and yet find themselves in the crosshairs of the video warehousing giant. Bighorn Armory recently reported that their YouTube channel was completely taken down. There have been more and more random reports of strikes against Second Amendment and firearms-related content on YouTube. The last few weeks in particular, there has been a pile of anecdotal stories of creators having to get creative to combat strikes. Let's see here. Now, these are some of the examples they give. Our friends over at Texas Gun Vault recently adopted a new strict policy of stating several times throughout his video that he is not selling guns, which he is not, and that his work is for educational purposes. Friend of Bearing Arms, Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie, said he got a pile of recent strikes, one in particular because someone was selling a book on Gunbroker and mentioned it on one of his episodes. Apparently, saying Gunbroker is a no-no. Bighorn Armory, makers of big bore firearms, announced on May 19th that YouTube has permanently removed the company's channel from its platform. said BHA in a release. The termination follows 3 strikes issued against videos that had been posted more than 2 years prior without incident, each citing as violations of the platform's updated firearms policy. So you see what's going on here, Mike, and that's so they updated their policy, and then they went back and pulled videos that had been up for 2 years. Now, if you remember, the strike 3 was the thing that you had said was that one last time, right? But strike 2 was a year old. And strike 1 was from a year before that. Right? It was from when we first started. So how do they, I mean, that's the thing that really gets me with some of these is they say it violates the policy, but they pull old videos that were fine at the time. You didn't have any issues with them at the time. And then how do you correct if you don't even know it's a problem? And then even worse, you don't really get to talk to anybody.
Yeah, and I'm kind of torn on this one, Craig. Obviously, I feel for the guys at the arms manufacturer there and everybody else involved in this. But this is a private corporation, right? And where my concern comes in is, have they become large enough that they now are a monopoly? And the government has to be involved with them to regulate that they're not discriminating against other people and people are not getting a fair chance. Now, is it the only platform like that? There's others out there. I think YouTube would probably be one of the biggest ones, but it's a private corporation. I mean, Craig, it's like if you showed up with a Dallas Cowboys jersey at a Philadelphia Eagles rally and they wouldn't let you talk, okay, that's their deal. They don't want to let you. It's their rules, their house. Time to play at somebody else's house, I guess. I mean, it's completely unfair. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. I'm sorry that they relied on them for their business, their business mm-hmm. model, but I don't know. The big question that comes to me, Craig, is do you think that they're large enough to be what would be considered, a public forum, the only public forum, a monopoly of public forums, to where the government should be involved in this?
Well, here's the thing. They have Section 230 protections that they have special protections that protect them from being sued. Because they say, well, they're not content producers. They don't edit the content.
Correct. Yeah,
well,
correct.
when you decide what content is there and what content is not, when you start becoming selective, then you all of a sudden now are a provider or a producer of content. You are now editorializing, and as such ought to be held accountable, and they should lose their Section 230 protections. You're not wrong. You're right. It's a private company. But you ought to be held accountable when you do. You don't get the benefits of being the public square, and then turn around and say, "Well, no, but this is private, and we're only going to let people talk that we want to talk."
Yeah, no, I again agree with you. So let's get. That's the question that I led with you. Let's get the government into it. Let's have them look at removing the 230 protections, and there you go. Because this all started, and you and I were both around when it started during the Obama administration, first Obama administration, went around and tried to remove, guns, alcohol, tobacco, and gambling from everybody's, platforms. And guns seem to, and then banking, stores, remember everything as well. So.
Well, one of the things I encourage people to do, if you are a content producer, one, be on multiple platforms.
Yes.
Because sometimes they're going to like now Facebook eliminates, they only keep your live feeds up for 30 days, right? So they're eliminating all old live feeds. You have, obviously YouTube, which is the thing about YouTube that makes it so unique is because it's so integrated with Google that it's the most searchable. I mean, it is probably now it is now a bigger search engine than even Google is. But so that's the one great thing about that. But one that's growing all the time is Rumble. If you're not on Rumble, and if you're not backing up and doing everything else also on Rumble, you need to be on Rumble, because that's where a lot of content, they don't do any of that. Now they do monitor for copyright stuff, but they don't do any editorializing. They don't edit you for content or anything like that. So it's kind of the wild, wild west over there a little bit. And they're not quite as searchable, but that's where you can keep all of your content. And then we're also on Spotify, which is great because you can actually listen and watch.
Those are my questions, right? When we started this, have they become the monopoly of public squares? Are they the only one out there? Because if they're the only one out there, then yes, I think we'd have to go after them for their 230 protections and their discrimination. But unless you go to Twitter and watch videos now, you can watch video on Twitter, multi-link, So
I think
if this hits court, does the judge say you've got 5 other options? What are you doing here?
Right. The 230 protections, though, is regardless of if they are the only one or not, when you decide you want to start acting as an editor of content, then you ought to be treated like one. So 230 protection should just be gone. Gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether they're the only ones or not, they just happen to be the biggest, the baddest, and the most popular. But you are 100% correct. They are not the only ones. They are the Donald Trump.
Well, and listen, they're in it today. How far do we have to go back in history to say that MySpace is the biggest thing of the future?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Well, right there along with my Blockbuster card.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, what a difference! Blockbuster Video.
The funniest thing about doing Blockbuster back in the day was, remember how they used to have? So you had like the big name movie, right? Like Transformers. And then they would make these off-brand like B-flick movies with really, really cool boxes, covers.
Yep.
And you'd be like, the real movie, well, it's all checked out, but maybe I'll get this one.
Right. It was the birth of straight to video movies. That's where that came from. Yeah.
Yeah, it was always hilarious. Anyway. All right, and this is one that is finally, we talked about this when they first talked about it happening, but now it is in fact official. The president has overturned a huge Obama-era policy. It says here, Trump formally guts Obama-era climate finding that allowed feds to regulate emissions. Flanked by EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin in the Roosevelt Room, President Donald Trump announced that his administration has formally rescinded the 2009 Obama-era finding that greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, endangered public health. That finding led to a slate of federal climate regulations targeting gas-powered vehicles, including former President Joe Biden's top-down effort to force Americans to buy more electric cars. Trump's action will have a domino effect, toppling years of federal regulations targeting emissions produced by vehicles, power plants, oil facilities. Zeldin said it is the largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States and would save Americans more than $1 trillion, a point Trump emphasized. And I will tell you right now, Mike, I'm sure you have an idea of exactly how big a deal this is, but I mean, like, just last week, we were reporting that Honda lost money for the first time in 70 years since they first got on the stock market. They lost money because they were basically forced to go into the electric car business. This is going to make a huge difference for consumers.
Yeah, listen, I guarantee you right now, there will be no 2027. They might be in the works already. But there's going to be no 2028 models of American-made EV cars. It's done now. It's over.
Well, I don't know. Tesla is still making money. So as long as Tesla's still making, there are some companies and some brands that are making money, but they found a way to do it, right?
Let me clarify. The traditional gasoline car manufacturers. I'm not talking about Tesla. That's all they make. That's all.
Yes. No, here's the thing. It can be done, but I think the worst part about all of this is I think that by them forcing it, they slowed down the progression, the progress that would have occurred in the electric vehicle market by forcing it, because they force people to get into there when the technology really isn't there yet. There's still too many issues.
No, agreed. And this, and that's why we have the issue. You and I talked about it the other day. The $5,000 battery that you have to replace your car with. That kind of stuff. So.
Right. They'll eventually it's going to come around, and when it does, the American people will buy it. But you can't force it. You got to let the market work. Just let the market. It always works. In the end, it always works. Let the market work.
Yeah.
Anyway, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog Holster today. We were talking yesterday, by the way, Mike, you may recall, we briefly hit on it, and we pretty much predicted that Massey was going to lose, and he did by 10 points, as we predicted. And I hear a lot of people who are libertarian-minded and fans of Massey, and I there's a lot of things about Thomas Massey that I like, but here, Scott Jennings over at CNN, I thought put it as succinctly as possible. The best explanation I have heard as to why it happened, why he lost.
What's the old song? You don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Trump in a Republican primary. And that's what Thomas Massey has done by becoming his chief antagonist in the U.S. House. And this became really a referendum on, is Thomas Massey on the team or not? And Trump said he wasn't. The voters followed. The key vote that House leadership turned on him over was the big, beautiful bill. I mean, the working
House
families
leadership, but
tax
the president.
Credit. Well, but that's the president's domestic policy agenda. And you cannot become an apostate on two issues in a Republican primary, taxes and immigration. Massey voted against Trump's immigration security. He voted against Trump's tax cuts. So when you become a chief antagonist, when you're voting with the squad against Donald Trump's domestic policy agenda, it's not Epstein.
But that's
it's
because
a problem.
he was
when you're voting with the Democrats that often, look, politics is a team sport. He's just not been on the president's team.
How
That's
much of
a problem.
chilling get for the party?
Voters have some agency here, okay? These people who live in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District strongly support Donald Trump. It's one of the most conservative districts in the country. They overwhelmingly vote for him. And if they perceive that their Republican congressman, who they also voted for, is voting with the Democrats against the agenda of the president that they overwhelmingly supported, they take notice of it. That's what happens.
Exactly. And that's really what it comes down to. And they didn't even mention the fact that, basically Massey came out and was like accusing Donald Trump of, being controlled by the Jews and protecting pedophiles. I'm like, did you really think the president wasn't going to put all of his weight against you after all of that?
Yeah, he's a little wacky, Massey. He always has been. You and I talked about his alternative Second Amendment policies as well. But, listen, I've said this to you before. If you're from a district that's 80% Republican, why are you doing anything but voting with the Republicans? That's what your constituency wants you to vote for. All of a sudden, when you get up there and you think you've become the morality of the entire Congress, you know what? Go home. Run as the morality next time. See if you get reelected.
The best example I heard someone say he is the perfect example of the perfect becoming the enemy of the good. There were some things, and I get why he voted the way he did, because some of the things could have and should have been better. But I'm like this: did the bill get you closer to where we wanted to be? If it did, then you support it. It ain't perfect. You come back for the rest later.
This is what happens to when you're an absolutist in politics.
Exactly. Well, this next one, now these are some absolutists that found out that they may not necessarily be as absolute as they thought they were.
America has always been a fascist country. We're fighting fascistic tendencies in the United States.
It feels almost like a dictatorship.
Since you hate America, here's a one-way ticket out.
Not coming back. We're here at Harvard asking students how they feel about America and if they would revoke their citizenship and take a one-way ticket to leave and never return.
So let's start with, what do you think of your country?
It's been getting really crazy.
America has always been a fascist country.
It feels almost like a dictatorship in some ways.
And also with the ICE thing, goddamn.
There's so much more going on with America.
Our civil rights were revoked.
I don't know if we'll survive Trump's presidency, man.
You think America is a fascist country?
A lot of people would say that.
Why do you think it's fascist?
A lot of people feel like they cannot exercise their freedom of speech or freedom of religious practice or expression. If you critique the government, if you speak out, there's a chance the president will tweet about you and attempt to harass you.
You still have these checks and balances and systems, yet people still think it's not a democracy. Why is that?
With our current president, those checks and balances have been violated in some ways. Like, it makes me feel uneasy.
What is the number one thing that you guys would change in your country immediately without even thinking twice about it?
Immigration laws.
You guys want to expand on that?
I just think it's really inhumane what is going on right now in this world. This is stolen land already, and if you're going to make arguments about people that are and aren't allowed to be here, I don't think it holds any value. And
You think it's a stolen land?
I think that
The first thing I would do is remove ourselves from foreign conflicts. Even if one dictator is bad, we're hearing one side of the story.
I think the United States has broken international law, undermining the sovereignty of places like Iran and Venezuela.
Do you think the situation is that bad that people would be interested in revoking their citizenship and moving?
Yeah.
Is it safe to say you hate America and aren't proud to be a citizen?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
I mean, yeah.
Is there any country you would rather live?
Copenhagen and
Copenhagen!
I would go to Ireland.
New Zealand.
If we gave you one-way ticket, would you take to leave America and to move to New Zealand? To Ireland, Belfast, I think? Completely move out of the country? Not coming back.
I did just get into Harvard.
that's a really hard question.
No, I think by the end of the day, we're still stuck in this together.
I have obligations.
All right,
I got
awesome.
family here. I
Awesome.
got school here.
All right, fine. We'll take that as a no.
Practically, I think it would probably be a poor idea.
Like, there is still, like, a lot of good opportunities in America.
Born and raised in America, my whole family's here, my whole life is here. This has been home, this is opportunity. I'll never be able to take that away from, the place that I was born in.
When given a real chance to leave, no one takes it. It's easy to criticize a system you benefit from. But when that system is taken away, the reality becomes a little more complicated.
Damn.
I love that angle. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
Anyway, people don't really think through politics sometimes. I think they don't really stop to think that well, there are choices, right? You can decide. I mean, here's the thing, man. There are a lot of people who really don't like either party, like this guy.
We just have good box, bad box. No one has any nuance. Nuance is out. Nuance is the new N-word. That's it. It's over. People want to know, what side are you on? I'm like, I don't know. You both seem fucking annoying. Right? Scary. Isn't that weird? We have 2 political parties. We got 5 HBOs. 2 political parties. And it just feels like the government. They're like your parents. And they're not trying to help us. They're just trying to get back at each other. Your mom's a liberal, your dad's a Republican. You're like, hey, Dad, mom, she's trying to give me free money. Your dad's like, well, she also tried to abort you. You're like, Jesus Christ, okay. Whew. Fine, I'll live with you. Yeah. RFK, he's trying to take away my fucking Pop-Tarts. We could slim down a little bit. We're eating horrible food, but he's the voice of a generation. Well, he was a liberal his whole life, then Trump got shot and he got on board. I guess RFK figured, well, now that he's been shot, he feels like family.
Okay, well, that last part makes sense. Okay.
That last part does make sense. That guy, I love him. He's like, he definitely pushes the envelope with his comedy. And I enjoy comedians who do that because, and I'm okay with them stepping over the line every once in a while because that's how you find out where the line is.
Exactly right. Yeah, no problem.
All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors.
Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Get on over there. Get yourself some AR barrels. They got rifle caliber, pistol caliber, any length you desire. You could rebuild your next AR or build your next AR or rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, law enforcement, security, fire, EMS, whatever it may be, get your group together, get your agency together, place an order at uscombatgear.com where you can get everything except the gun.
Once again, folks, please take a moment and visit our sponsors. All you have to do is follow the links in the description to this program. Go there, check them out, spend some money with them, and tell them it was the guys over at the Rundown that sent you. That's going to be it for today's program. We will be back tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday. Till then, y'all have fun. Y'all stay safe. And we will see you mañana.